justified injustice. This is the world, and card games are no different. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the door to darkness.
I should be able to do what I want. The world owes me for having to raise these 6 kids with different fathers. I'll do whatever I want. Guys want to go and spend more time with their trading cards than with a big, black, beautiful woman like me? Well, I'll show them. I'll get all the rare cards. I get their money, too. I'm blind to the secret. Yeah, I'm making a ChargeBack. Yeah, you see, I would have never been in a place called Get Some Deck. Do I sound like someone who needs to get some deck? My ex must have stole my credit card and took Michael there. I didn't make that charge, no sir.
Welcome back to the Asaurus channel. I'm your host, 5, and this is the DTD, the Door to Darkness. Now, what is the Door to Darkness? Well, it's a segment on my channel where we expose the shitty behavior and or people that often dwell amongst card game communities. Now, we have an example of what happens when you break the silent rules, or really the respect, between a vendor and a patron of said store. My subject here, who has been dubbed the ChargeBack Queen, has broken said respect by constantly issuing false chargebacks after purchasing a couple $1,000s in product. Now, we don't expose these criminals here. We leave that to the courts and media. No, this is simply a segment to mock these people's behaviors, and all potential criminality should actually be left up to the legal system. Of course, the ChargeBack Queen's behavior also leads us into another discussion about the very banks responsible for investigating these chargebacks and how they handle these claims. But we will get back to that. So without further ado, let's begin. To anyone that runs a shop in the SoCal area, please be on the lookout for this woman. She has been going around to multiple game stores and charging back thousands of dollars in product. As of right now, I can confirm 7 different stores that have been hit by this thief. Please, if you have any information regarding this woman, PM me immediately. She got us for $2,300. Holy crap. $2,300. Now you may ask yourself, is this even remotely true? I mean, yeah, they said that they can confirm 7 stores, but is this really going around as a problem? Does this woman even exist? Well, multiple people have not only shared the post, but other people have posted the same response with other pictures. So the shop doesn't ever get the product or money back. She hit, I censored out the stores because, again, I don't want to expose the criminal, nor do I want to actually expose these stores that got hit. But she hit these stores in Chatsworth, California. Now, that might be exposing right there, but I have to assume there's a couple different shops in that town. And I think this is more of a tri-state area. It's not just one town. Obviously, if someone is going to do this, they're going to go across multiple towns in one sort of area. This poster suggests if you get a transaction this big, that you ID your customers to make sure that the CC machine is working, and to make sure that when they perform the transaction, they're not just swiping a credit card, but actually throwing a pin in. Now, I don't really think that's going to solve the issue of one reporting a false chargeback and the bank essentially allowing that to happen with little to no investigation, but nonetheless, he is giving you solid advice. So you see, collectibles have gone through this sort of a little bit of a transition within the last 3 years, right? Back in 2019, pre-COVID, comic books and other collectibles, they've always been worth money. But what's been happening as of late, people started to realize how truly easy it was to go from working class to no class. So as a result of this, the collectibles market had trended more in 6 months than it had within the last decade, and has continued to spike up to the point where they estimate that by 2032, the collectibles market will very much be in the trillions of dollars in net worth. As a result of this economic change, this has sort of driven the working class, and I mean the normie working class that wouldn't usually be into collectibles like trading cards and such. It sort of converted their initial idea as to what they thought collectibles were. They see value in the fact that other people see value in it. So you've been getting these upticks in potential crimes when it came down to certain collectibles. Funko Pop figures, I fucking hate those things, by the way, and especially trading cards. Walmarts and Targets didn't have any product available for the longest time because someone would just buy it out. I still see that problem here and there, though it's not nearly as bad, and there's also not nearly as much of a shortage when it comes down to shipping. That was the other issue, was that stores simply just couldn't meet their demand Also, due to regulations, a lot of these companies also had a lot of delays trying to get product out there. Yu-Gi-Oh had this problem a lot actually, but all that is slowly but surely going away. But all of this is to say that these collectibles can offer quite a bit of a return in investment, to the point where people are willing to go down to shady ends. They're willing to justify just about anything to get these products and to essentially make money, even if it means making up false claims about someone taking your credit card. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, we also have these banks that don't do their proper investigation. And do we blame the ChargeBack Queen for issuing a false chargeback? Well, of course we do. She obviously committed a crime still. But can we honestly, truly blame her for issuing a false chargeback to a bank that instigates this type of behavior by allowing this stuff to occur, even after they've done their investigation? And there had to have been multiple. So really, who is to be blamed here? And now I would actually like to get into 2 separate examples of 2 times that I had to issue a chargeback. Now, they were both done for proper reasons, as I will get into in a moment, but now you can consider this the good and bad endings of what could potentially happen when you issue a honest chargeback. Now, chargebacks are a funny thing, as 99% of the time, there usually is no actual reason for one to have to issue a chargeback. But mistakes do happen, people do get scammed, they also get their debit card stolen. Alright, so let me tell you about the 2 times I was forced to issue a chargeback, and I think there were perfectly good reasons for me doing so. So the first reason I had to issue a chargeback, I went into a store, I won't mention the store name, but I bought a Switch case, a case for my Switch, and a year's subscription. What ended up happening was the register got shut down, or something happened where they were forced to basically reset the register. In the middle of my payment, when I stuck the card into the machine, but it wasn't confirmed whether or not my payment had been processed. Now, this is where someone's gonna probably tell me I should have checked my app, and I really should have, to make sure that the purchase hadn't actually gone through the first time. What was essentially a $30 buy became $60 because I had to ring my card again to make sure it was paid for. Now you see, that's all fine, but the problem is that when I went to do a chargeback from my bank, I explained all of this to them, and for whatever reason, they gave me my money back before they did their investigation. And I was never actually really informed that they might reverse their decision. So I only bought 1 Switch case and 1 subscription. I never left the store with another subscription, because I would still have that subscription to this day even, and 1 Switch case. They did their investigation. They refunded me the $30 because I told them the other one was valid, so I was owed $30. By the time they were done their investigation, they took $60 from me and gave it to that store because they were somehow able to prove that I had bought another Switch case and another subscription. I don't know how the subscription stuff works, but the problem is I never got that 2nd year subscription, so it doesn't even matter. And when I tried to call them and dispute this, and even if the case was lost, right? Even if I had lost the case where they somehow proved that I took home a 2nd Switch case, they still owed me $30 because they took $60 back, but they only ever refunded me $30 because it was only the $30 that wasn't a valid purchase. The other $30 was in fact a valid purchase, and I made this very clear to them as well. And at the end of my conversation with the representative, I only got $30 back. So this store literally stole $60 from me. They essentially got $90 out of me for what was a $30 purchase, all because I decided to issue what should be a rightful chargeback. The fucking scumbags. And my bank said, yeah, that's perfectly okay. That's rational. That's reasonable. We only gave him $30 back, but hey, if we take an additional $30, fuck him. They fought back on the chargeback that I was owed, and my bank decided to take an additional $30 out of my account. What they essentially did was, when I called, they told me why, that the store had proven, again, I guess they submitted proof that I bought a 2nd Switch case. Even if they showed them footage, they would have seen me leave 1 Switch case. So then when I said, can I talk to someone to try to dispute this, you know, because they still took an additional $30 that didn't belong to anyone else but me once they settled the case. And it's not like I disputed both payments. I made that absolutely clear. And if they only gave me $30 before they even started their dispute, it should have been very clear in the files that I only disputed one purchase, not the other. I got department shafted to the point where I couldn't do anything about it. So this bank allowed this store to rip me off, and they just said it was okay. That's an example of a bank having a bad chargeback feature, and I will never bank there again. Now, the second case of a chargeback I had to issue was more cut and dry, and it is an example of very good professionalism. They did not refund me immediately. They instead did their investigation. I had bought something online that I think turned out to be a scam. I was never given any report, any shipping notification of when I would receive it. It was for a capture card. It was actually a lot more of a fancier capture card than the one I initially used for my Marvel vs. Capcom 2 video. That one I had to buy at Walmart, which is what I should have done to begin with. But they did their investigation. It took about a month for them to do the investigation, and they actually gave me my money back. And they even recently notified me and said that I was all set. This is an example of professional chargebacking. And this is why the proper investigation done by the actual officials is just as important as the chargebacker filing a rightful chargeback. It takes two. It's just as much on the responsibility of the person filing the chargeback to ensure that they're filing a proper chargeback, just as much as it's on the bank and the people they hire to do the investigations of these chargebacks to ensure that they're doing their job properly. Not only that, but both need to be held accountable, whether it be the person filing the fraud chargeback or the people not doing their job right. Alright, so now it's time for the final judgment. The door to darkness has been opened. Now I think she actually should be able to keep everything she bought on fake credit. Yes, I'm not kidding. Let her keep every single cent. Because the news is out there, and quite frankly, if you actually wanted to see what this woman really looked like, the information's out there. I just blocked it out. Like literally, just let her keep everything she got. Then basically put her on a tremendous amount of debt. So much debt that she's never gonna financially recover from this. As a matter of fact, she might have to do some jail time, but considering the circumstances here, I get the feeling she'd never actually survive prison. Although she is kind of big, so that's something for her. But yeah, the stores should get refunded for all the money she basically stole from them. And yes, I have to imagine that it would be a tremendous loss for these banks, but they have to take some accountability and responsibility for not doing their investigation properly. Because if they had done that, you're talking about a scenario that would be a non-issue right now. So yes, keep all the trading cards you bought. Because anybody worth their salt in buying and selling trading cards, they understand that investing in product usually isn't the way to go unless you're buying cases. And even then, you have to be damn well sure that you have a market to sell every single card you get out of those sets. Just about anyways. And especially when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Just because you might pull an Ultra or a Secret, doesn't mean that that specific Ultra or Secret will be worth jack shit. Let's not forget about the fact without the preconceived knowledge of the game that you're buying cards for, you don't even know which sets are the right ones to invest in. Hell, you won't even understand what singles are worth what and why. And sure, some sets have lottery cards, where if you pull them, you win a pretty good amount of money. But it's called the lottery for a reason. It's very few and far in between that anybody ever pulls those cards ever. And she might have a good shot considering how much you stole. Even with all that, in order for any of that to be remotely successful, you need to have the decent ability to socialize. And knowing which marketplaces are good online for these sales. Which either of those skills I don't think this woman even possesses, because she probably doesn't even like trading cards. Though to be fair, she is a woman, so not being all that social isn't that much of an issue for her. But you know what? That sounds about even and fair to me though. She can be in a ton of debt for having things that she's remotely not even interested in. To always be the person to have no trust or regards for if you ever even attempted to get into the games you stole cards from. But even then, you will be blacklisted from every card shop within your local vicinity. And on top of that, while you're sitting there alone with your little trading cards, it's going to be next to impossible for you to get a loan on things that may actually be essential, like, I don't know, a car. But nah fam, it's okay. It's alright. It Gucci. That's what the title of baby daddy aka manservant is for. So unless he's a shithead himself, it'll be up to him to be the responsible one, to take your son to soccer practice or whatever, your daughter to cheerleading. He'll have to be the one to take them to the card shop to play, I don't know, Pokemon or whatever. It'll be up to him or whatever third party you have to take care of the kids, because you're incapable of doing your job properly. That is true equality right there. You being allowed to be a true shithead while everyone else around you does all the responsible things for you. While you sit there alone, with cards you don't even care for, with no one else around you to care for you, while you blame the world and society for your own problems, while claiming you are independent and strong, when the only way you are truly capable of doing that is by screwing the idea of business and respect of others. And that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching this episode of the DTD, and remember, stay classy, y'all. Peace out.